Hello again. It is James Adair back in your basement. I'm in my office, and we're doing another episode of the Equity Accelerator podcast. So Thank you for joining us out there in Podland. Again, my name is James Adair. I'm a mortgage lender operating out of Portland, Oregon. And this is our weekly show where we kind of just talk about cool ideas about mortgage business, real estate industry, investing, how to build equity in yourself, in your relationships, how to build equity in your business, how to build equity in your real estate portfolio, clearly. Today as we're recording, and my goal in putting these together is that the content is true always, that you can go back and listen to old episodes and it's not necessarily it's not like a daily news update where it's not as true anymore as it used to be. But one of the things that we're talking about recently is, we have had a big market surge this spring. And, it occurs to me, I got to call everybody I know and talk about possibly refinancing, or there's a lot of refinance opportunities at this moment. So it's a high anxiety time in the business. It's funny how when rates get low, and this is just an aside here as a lender, when rates get low, you'd think it would be like really exciting, but it's actually super stressful. It's just, you feel like, oh my God, I got to call it. How do I do this? Who do I start? Rates go up and they go down, they go up and down. And when they go down, there's these temporary opportunities. And sometimes you're like, it's just a good day. I can't call 500 people in a day. And then they call me back a week later and I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's not true anymore.
Close. Yeah.
When do you cry wolf? But it is time to circle up and take a look at things. We started, you and I were talking about the importance of having a client database, having a list.
Yeah.
And one of the cool ideas that has been brought to me by Todd Duncan, one of my mentors, is the 80-20 rule. And this is also Tim Ferriss in his 4-Hour Work Week book. That was when I really learned about the 80-20 rule. I mean, I read that book, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's got some it's basically a productivity book, like how to, you can do everything that you need to do in 4 hours a week, right? To have the income of your dreams. And that's provocative conceptually. And nobody does that. And it has a picture of the hammock between two palm trees as the
cover.
Yeah, exactly. So you can operate your mortgage business from a hammock.
So funny. But
so that's like one of the first ideas is the Pareto Principle, the 80-20 rule, which is so cool because it is something that is found in nature. Pareto, I can't think, that's the guy's last name. He's an Italian economist, right?
Yeah,
from the 1800s who discovered that 20% of the seeds you plant produced 80% of your crop yield. And you just don't know which 20% of the good seeds that produce all the good crop, right? Yeah. And that's so true if you're a sales manager, 20% of your team will produce 80% of your revenue.
True. Yeah, so true.
And when I'm looking at my client database, not everyone's going to produce a lot of repeat business or referral business, but some people produce a ton of repeat business and referral business. So 20% of my client list is going to produce 80% of my return,
Right. Yeah.
So the trick is how do I go through this list and choose where's the benefit from. So that's why the importance of having a good CRM and tracking all the system makes that question an easy one to answer.
I think,
but I don't know who's got a perfect CRM. Mine is always in a sort of semi state of disrepair.
Yeah.
And another thing about client data, and this is something I learned talking to some really high performance loan officers a couple of years ago, asking them which CRMs they used. And they were like, oh, we have about 3 of them. And that was something that was just like knocked me out, because I was always like, choose one. I don't like it. I switched to another one. I don't like it. I like one thing about it, but not the other thing.
Yeah.
But I guess most high performance salespeople have more than one CRM for different functionalities. Not every CRM does everything you need. So that's just something, if you're listening and you're struggling with CRMs, don't close your mind off to possibly having multiple CRMs at once, right?
Extra credit.
So I certainly I have two that I use a lot. I use something called Whiteboard, and I use something called Contactually quite a bit.
Yeah.
But one cool thing, one thing I wanted to blow your mind about the 80-20 rule on the client database is that Todd Duncan suggests, I mean, he's always trying to get you to totally turn the crank on your efficiency. But if you take 1,000 people and you find the 200 people that are creating 80% of your return, and then you jettison the 80% that's more dead weight in comparison. Now you have this list of, high impact relationships. If you take that list and you 80-20 that list and take the top 20% of your top 20%, you're going to get, basically, that's not the 80-20 rule. Now you've taken your initial 1,000 names and you only have 4% of them. 4% of that list is going to produce 64% of your return.
Wow.
And you can keep doing that over and over again. So now you've got 40 people, right? And these are like the very connected, engaged, multiple user clients. You could do it again, and then you could get 50 to potentially, if you can keep applying the 80-20 rule over and over and over again and reduce your list to, if you could find out, the top 0.8% of your 1,000. So now we're down to what? 0.8%. That's 8 people. There's 8 people in a list of 1,000 that potentially will produce 52% of your results of the original 80-20. So the idea is that if you can keep winnowing it down and creating more and more efficiency, and you find a small list that you can just pour into, create a special event for, like do something really special for a small group of high impact people, that's a really powerful concept.
I think people are always, one of the biggest complaints people have is I don't have enough time. But when you start to take all the time you have and pour it into 50 people, 40 people, instead of 1,000 people, all of a sudden, like you can do plenty in the time you have if you're focused on the 20%, or in this case, what'd you say, the 4%?
0.8, well, 4%, or if you 80-20, if you 20 it again, it's 0.8%.
Wow, it's crazy. Yeah.
So 4,000 to 1 is a 4,000 to 1 leverage in that.
Right. That's crazy. That's beautiful. And I think that's the trick. I mean, talk about equity acceleration. How do you accelerate equity? We'll focus on the 20%, or even inside of that, the 20% of the 20% of the 20%.
Do it again. 80-20 it, and then 80-20 it again, and you'll get even more focused. So that's the trick right now, the trick is to figure out who's in that top 20% of any list. Right. And the difficult thing is it may not be the same person every year. One person, people have seasons of engagement in your business, they may move away, right? They may, maybe they were heavily involved in working for a builder, and now they don't work for that builder anymore. So I don't know, like some kind of, there's certain people. And another thing that Todd Duncan said that just knocked me out was that you already know everyone you need to know to make $1 million.
Wow.
Or however much you want to make. You already know everyone you need to know. You don't need to meet a new person. So particularly if you've been in business a while. I mean, if you're just starting out, you just finished college, moved to a new town, like, okay, you don't know everyone you need to know. You need to do some foundational work. But I've been in Portland for close to 20 years, and I've been in business for 16 years. And, I know a lot of people in this town now. And some people wield a lot more influence than others, right? So being systematic about finding out who that is influential is really important, and make a note of that and make sure they know you, right? Because they can put you in front of 1,000 people with one email or something,
Right. So true.
The trick is just, who's that person? How do I find that person?
We'll make it actionable now. So, because I love this is perfect. I think it's super, super clear and direct. Like people listening to this, what is there to do now in terms of actions? Like what can we do to go implement this 80-20 rule?
Well, you got to get your data right. You got to, start with just an Excel spreadsheet, write down everyone get their contact information. There's apps now that you can import data from your Gmail and data from your social media realms and stuff like that. There's actually a CRM that I was just talking to a friend about called Nimble, Nimble. That's really interesting. I haven't looked at it in a while. I used to use it like 10 years ago, but basically you just give it your Gmail credentials and Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And it like hit go and it pulls everybody in and it makes a list.
Crazy.
You can start categorizing it.
Dude, that's a good tip right there.
Yeah. Check out Nimble.
I like that.
And it's not that expensive either. So
that's so good. I would say probably, and an intermediate tip would be, if you already have a CRM, start going to the 20% of the 20%.
Yeah.
Or 20% of the 20% of the 20%, like the 0.8, like go like, and then I would build a plan around.
Yeah. I would say the most valuable person is who's given you a referral, right? And if that's less than 20%, you can say who has done more than one deal with me and or given me a referral in the last 12 months, right? And then just start to reduce your list into the more high impact clients. Think of a way to provide value to them like right away. Or and providing value could just be a phone call, could be a thank you card. It could be, it could be a tidbit about the market or whatever. I don't know, but it just think of something to give to them. You're not, you need to be their, you need to be their specialist. That's something I struggle with in mortgages too. Sometimes I look at the mortgage conversation, I have it over and over and over again. And sometimes it seems so basic and boring to me. It's like, yeah, you're getting a loan and 30-year fixed and closing costs. And I don't know, like sometimes I'm not that inspired around it, but it's, I have to remember that I need to be the expert for my clients on this, as basic as it is sometimes.
But I think you rebranding the experience or reframing the experience inside of active equity management, gives a different inroad to the conversation. I mean, that makes it more intellectually stimulating than
yeah. I mean, maybe I do that for myself just as much as anybody, just to get excited about it and have fun with it.
Right. And that's a cool way to engage your 20%, like, to be all up in, active equity management for your 20%, like, and having a conversation about growing assets and whatever. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff to happen in there, but
to do I've seen there's a real estate agent in town who's really smart about this and is always on social, has really good looking branding, and has something called like a VIP client list. He's like, sign up for the VIP client list, and I'll give you off market stuff. And I don't know. It's just an interesting concept. Who doesn't want to be the VIP? I wonder if everybody's the VIP. Who knows?
I want to be a VIP.
But it's engaging for sure.
I love it. Well, good stuff. If people want to reach out to you, learn more about active equity management,
80-20, the Pareto Principle. I can be found at pdxhomeloan.com. Reach out to me, James at pdxhomeloan.com. If you're in the real estate industry or adjacent to the real estate, any kind of retail sales type of thing, like I'd love to be of service to you and helping you level your business up. So reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Let's get out of podcast world and into real life world, IRL.
Let's take it offline. I like it.
Yes.
Good stuff. Awesome, James. Thanks, man. See you next time.
Chris, always a pleasure. Bye now.
Always a pleasure. Bye.